You are listening to Mining Stock Education, where you'll learn from the top leaders in the natural resource sector and uncover quality mining investment opportunities.
You have the blue sky potential, you have probability, and you have numerous targets. You have longevity of potential discovery. So a perfect exit for us is going to be share price based. I'm a very large shareholder of the company, and I've always treated this as a shareholder first and as a CEO second, because the only way that we make our business plan work for ourselves is if the share price really performs. And we have the perfect timing and opportunity to make that discovery to really perform the share price. So it will come down to the drill bit. We'll let that do the actual talking towards exits, and we'll just be intelligent about the process.
I'm Bill Powers. You are listening to MSE. Thanks for tuning in. In today's show, we're going to get an update with Ivan Bebek from Coppernico Metals, one of our longtime show sponsors going back to the Oren days. Coppernico, as we talked about in our previous interview about a month and a half ago with Coppernico, is a spin-out from Oren, and they're pursuing a big copper project in Peru. The project is called the Sombrero project. So Ivan, welcome back onto the show. You now have the drills turning. So it took a while, years to get community access. You got community access. You're funded, raised about $20 million recently this year, and now the drills are turning. Can you provide us an update? What are you trying to accomplish with this drill program?
Sure, Bill. And look, it's great to be back, and the timing is absolutely everything. You know, there's incredible timing right now in the copper space. We just saw BHP put the bid on Filo Mining for 4.5 billion Canadian. This is a real bellwether of what's really been in the narrative, is that these big copper systems are extremely hard to find. This project, we first kicked rocks 9 years ago in 2015, and through some exploration and a bit of COVID and some delays, we finally did get the permit, as you mentioned, and we drew in some incredible former executives from BHP and some of the largest mining company in the world. And from that point, we finally got to the drill permit and the drill actually turning, and that in itself is an incredible milestone to achieve. The thing I've learned over my 25 years of being in the business is big systems are incredibly hard to find and to be part of as an investor or as an entrepreneur. And they take a lot of time, and they take a lot of capital and a lot of perseverance to get to the stage where we're at. The first drill hole is just completed. We're on our second hole right now. And, the system is absolutely massive. We're seeing a lot of really, really positive things, from the geology perspective of what we're drilling. I won't comment on, potential results yet or anything like that until we have first assays, but it's a real system and it's really big. That's the first impression we're getting. When we drill this, we have capital to drill 30 holes at least, and working capital to the end of 2025. So we're in a really good position. I think it's going to be definitely drill intensive. And when we get into it, I think there's a lot of joy to look forward to for shareholders. The early indications that we hope to see before the end of this year would be that our thesis is correct, and this could offer multiple large deposits in a big system that could measure the scale of a Las Bambas or one of the big copper giants in the top 20 copper potential deposits in the world. And that's going to come through, geology indications as well as, of course, grade and drill holes. And the potential is substantial. And, we're really excited with what we're seeing, and we're going to look forward to a lot of news out of the drill bit. These big systems are measured by thesis and concepts based on various studies we do at surface. And so everything we drill is going to really measure on how that's fitting the model. Are we in the right system? Is it the right place? Are these the right rocks? The surface looks great. There are some historical drill holes on the edge of the system, but what does the rest of the actual system look like? And it could be expansive over multiple areas. And so far, we're extremely encouraged and really exciting and glad to be drilling here right before we list the shares of the company on the Toronto Stock Exchange.
So with phase one drilling, you're doing up to 6,500 meters, 16 holes to a true depth of about 300 meters. The press release that you put out mentioned that you're going to be monitoring the holes to determine where you're going next. Is that via XRF gun or visuals, or do you have skilled drillers on site? Like what is the analysis going on there to determine where you go?
We log all the holes as we drill them. We look at each meter that we drill, and we are analyzing what fluids are in the rocks, obviously the presence of copper and other metals that have indicate copper, the strength of the mineralization, the type of heat that was around these rocks that would have created the movement of metals in this area. And so we analyze them very closely. And the XRF gun, which is a laser that you can zap rocks with, and determine potential grades of copper and or other metals, it's not something we certainly rely on. It gives you a very vague perspective, and visually you can see copper, obviously, if it's present in abundance. But until we get first assays, it's somewhat meaningless because you don't know the accuracy of that or if it's even accurate at all. And it's going to vary in all different rock types. But visually, you get a sense and you can look at the rocks beneath the surface and understand where you are. So we've set out a drill plan of the first 30 holes where we plan to drill. And based on each hole that we drill, we're going to adjust angles. We're going to move some holes to different places. If we're having joy, we'll likely drill more holes in that area, drill deeper, drill behind the system, the rocks that we're hitting, and see if we can expose more of the system. If we're seeing rocks that are not interesting, we're going to not waste any of our money. We're going to be very efficient with our capital spend. And although 30 holes seems like a lot, we're testing about 7 kilometers of length of prospective areas, which is quite substantial in size. And so our goal here would be to come out with the start of a very, very, exciting discovery and use that to not only perform with the share price, but also to further capitalize the company and drill much more extensively on the project. But yeah, to answer your question, we're going to be very dynamic with our approach because no one's ever tested this project targeting copper before. It's virgin ground in the sense of drilling for everything that we're testing. And when you get into a system like this, that's the ultimate reward, is when you see something brand new that's never been there before. But at the same time, there's going to be some patience required, and with the drill bit, just to wait till it finds the right system. I think the one takeaway that I would say for a project this size and the potential in the region is that if you start to hit something of consequence, you're in elephant country. And that means you're in the area where these things can be quite substantial in size. And so the excitement will be through the roof. And so the current backdrop of sector and timing of markets as we head into the fall, and we see gold holding at, near record highs, and we see the movements with the takeover of Filo Mining, and congrats to the Lundin family there. That's an incredible achievement. This couldn't be a better timing for us and our shareholders as we come on with the drill bit.
So Sombrero, the scale that you've laid out, you're drilling like a target of many targets. Is this the best target that you're starting to drill? Will you consider this conceptually, now you're at the thesis level, but is this the best target you're drilling?
Far from knowing, there's a thin layer of cover throughout the entire targeting system. You get some windows of erosion. There's good grade everywhere, and we have no way of knowing what the best target is. And speaking with the technical team and the people on it, we've left that word best target out because we're so early in the system, and we truly don't know. There's going to be a lot of surprises. There's going to be a lot of areas where there's a ton of mineralization of consequence, and there's going to be areas where it's blank. So I can't tell you after 30 holes, we'll be able to tell you where the best target is because we'll have the results for it. There is some really, really probable areas that are extensive, and we don't have permits on that part of the property yet, and we're working towards them. These are areas that would expand off of the historical drilling where there's some incredible intercepts. We'll get to those a little bit later in this year, early next year, but well within our 30 holes that we're funded to drill. And right now, we're just going to work our way around this perimeter, 7 kilometers of targets, and see where the most attractive, appealing place is for grade and width, and go from there.
So, Ivan, your press release mentioned that you're going to be reviewing the greater land package to determine future targets. But as you've been looking at this for so long, don't you have enough targets already laid out? What would be the purpose at this point of trying to find even more targets?
Yeah, so it's not a desire to find more because we need more. We certainly have everything we need in this one area. Where we're at from that perspective is we're dealing with an expensive land position. It's 100,000 hectares, which costs us about $600,000 a year to maintain. So there's two things we want to do there. Now that we're actually working in the region, we want to screen all of our ground and drop the ground that's not prospective. But at the same time, on the other side of it, having such a robust opportunity at Sombrero and seeing a lot of evidence outside of areas we're working, there could be potential for more than just the main areas that we're drilling. And that's something we want to capitalize on. So it's a measure of efficiency, as well as, if there's more to add into the pipeline, this would become a multi-discovery potential asset. And that's what we always talked about Sombrero becoming. I think the two factors there is cost benefit and time and where time's used and spent. But the exciting part is there is some, we don't know yet in our own land position where the most appealing part is, We know that the Sombrero area has got the most evidence. It's got some historical drilling on it, but the other areas are extremely underexplored. And, if we see incredible amounts of outcrop and targets that could measure, similar type of discoveries that we're talking about at Sombrero, we're going to certainly want to capitalize on those and get to drilling them for shareholders in this time frame of potentially making this big discovery.
So in your previous companies that you've sold, and you've had 2 successful exits, you did what I would say is maximize the mystery or the potential. So what you're laying out here, you said multiple discoveries. If you prove out just one discovery and you show the general potential of this entire system, could we be looking at an exit at that point? What's your executive philosophy of how you aim to maximize shareholder value in that regard?
Yeah, so from that point, it's going to be, we'll start here first fair point is the share price performance in any exploration company comes from the drill bit and what the drill bit's finding. And in my first company, we found 5 million ounces of gold in Ghana, and the stock went from pennies to $9 per share. That's the kind of return we're chasing for shareholders. And obviously it's a bigger prize here, and we're catching a better timing in copper. So we think we could deliver something, possibly if it's there, much bigger than that. And that's our goal. For us in timing, it's going to be all about discovery and learning how big and how rich the system could be once that discovery is made. And that's the first wave. As far as the takeover as an exit, some thoughts towards that. And, things can perform well with price sometimes in discoveries because there's no actual official resource yet. You can get incredible valuations. At the same time, you've got the scarcity of big systems, as we saw recently, Filo getting purchased. You have to consider when looking at that exit, when is the right time to sell it? When is it beneficial to our shareholders to maximize value? When is it beneficial for the buyer? So there's a lot of tonnage left to find in the system because they're going to want to buy it and find a lot more. And the best thing about Sombrero is it offers both. It offers the potential for that discovery in multiple areas, which reduces the risk of big discovery, but it also offers the potential for constant growth, meaning we will not be able to, if it's there, uncover all of the potential in the next 3 years of drilling. That's clear to us because there's so many targets that will be in the pipeline. There's so many areas we won't get to drill if things go really well right out the gate. The other side of the coin is, what if you're not making a discovery for some time, Ivan? What if it's difficult? What if there's challenges and it's not quite there yet? We have 30 holes, without having to say financing again, that we can comfortably go and drill. And there's a lot of probability in different areas on surface anyways, indicating there could be mineralization beneath surface. So from that perspective, it's extremely encouraging from, having both ends of it kind of covered. You have the blue sky potential, you have probability, and you have numerous targets. You have longevity of potential discovery. So a perfect exit for us is going to be shareholder share price based. I'm a very large shareholder of the company, and I've always treated this as a shareholder first and as a CEO second, because the only way that we make our business plan work for ourselves is if the share price really performs. And we have the perfect timing and opportunity to make that discovery to really perform the share price. So it will come down to the drill bit. We'll let that do the actual talking towards exits, and we'll just be intelligent about the process. Having Keenan Jennings, MJ McQuaid join our board, 2 recent senior executives from BHP, there's a lot of strategy behind that. First of all, the project has attracted the caliber of people you would dream to work with as an exploration entrepreneur, and we're very honored to have them on the team. But secondly, they're going to give us really good guidance and perspective, not just through the exploration, angles of the project, but it's also going to give us the confidence and ability to put things in line towards building it, should it be there. And what you have to understand about a big copper system is it will take 20 to 30 years to build a big copper mine if one is discovered. And the early work that you can do can attribute to a big premium later on or make you more marketable as an asset. And their expertise will certainly be leveraged on, and the way we drill it, and as we start to do various studies to put the asset in a very, very premium state in terms of an opportunity for the next purchaser should one come along. If all didn't work and we didn't get our price, obviously we have to go and build it. And again, we have that now at the board level. We have that kind of expertise coming online. And I think this project will continue to attract those kind of people because of the robust potential and the nature of what this could mean as a discovery. This is truly once in a lifetime opportunity. And, as hard as the markets have been, Bill, as difficult as it has been to raise money as long as the wait has been to get here, this is something that you're lucky to find in a career, and it takes a long time to find. It's more harder to find a big system to explore like this than it is to find capital. And that's a big statement because of how difficult our sector has been for the last 3 years.
As you mentioned, the success will be determined by the drill bit, but would it take about 100 holes into the ground, do you think, to prove this a dud if our thesis is incorrect here?
Yeah, I think as a dud goes, I wouldn't put the number on the holes, but based on timelines, permits, drilling, it'll probably take at least 2.5 to 3 years to realize this thing was a complete dud. Because there's holes already in the system that say it's not a dud, and we're looking to expand that discovery. I would have to say the bigger question is, how many holes would it take to know you have the big one and multiple big ones potentially there? And I think that number flips around the other way. I think 50 to 100 holes, and that would be probably the key monetizing event where the system would be identified and you'd start going towards delineating what you've drilled, right? The trick for us is to drill the skeleton of a very, very big system and see if we can, expose what that might look like from an early indications of a potential economic scenario. Last thing I want to remind you and everyone else is the power lines, the roads, the water, everything is here. This is a project that has very, very favorable infrastructure. And if you look at the image behind me in the mountains, it seems quite desolate, but there is people, there is water, there is power lines. And so that's something that's going to really affect the quality of the discovery that we look to make here and the profitability of the potential grade. It gives us a lot more scope on grade. That could mean something. Our goal would be to try and get to the 0.5% or better average grade. But in that environment, you could be very successful at a lower grade. I'm not aiming for that. We're aiming above, and hopefully 0.5% copper here would mean a lot more because of that present infrastructure. So very exciting time. Everything about a big system and large potentials here. Longevity to discovery, lots of evidence in many areas to go explore and test. A lot of really good capital in the company, some excellent shareholders. Having Tech recently joined us, they own 9.9% of the company, is a very good validation, for an independent, positive validation of what we might have. It takes away our kind of bias looking at the rocks for as long as we have. And it gives us, a chance to have an exit, should we get it right, because they're obviously miners and they're mining in country. But the audience has been spectacular, though, from beyond them, other majors that have pursued this asset with us. And now the drills are turning and Spotlight's great. And we have that lack of sleep excitement on what could each hole mean and what does the next 10 meters look like. And that's where we are today, at edge of our seats. The team wants to add more drills and we're super excited, but we're going to be very methodical and efficient with our approach. And we're going to walk before we run. But when we start to get it right, we're going to be a lot more aggressive with our exploration efforts.
So the drills are turning and the shares will also soon be trading on the big board in Toronto. Do you have a date set for that? As of this recording, we're recording on the 31st of July.
Yeah, we just announced we reserved a symbol, COPR, on the Toronto Stock Exchange main board. This is an exchange that gives us a bit more access than the junior Vancouver exchanges or Toronto exchanges. It gives us more access to institutional investors and a wider range globally. It's a very good exchange for advanced mining companies to be trading on. We hope to trade between now and August 14th, because August 14th, we do have a penalty of warrants we'd have to give if we don't trade within that time frame. But in my view, I'd say to all viewers, expect news about the trading date on the first week of August, which is next week sometime, and to hopefully be trading before August 14th. I can't confirm that date till I have it, but in the next 2 weeks, it looks like we should be able to be uplisted and trading. So look forward to it and look forward to our news. And if you're not on our email distribution list, I'd encourage it, because you will get the news fresh in your email when our symbol's going to actually become active and we'll start trading.
And how would that affect myself as an American and the fellow Americans that are listening? Because we have the gray market ticker on the OTC right now in our American brokerage accounts.
Yeah, so that ticker that it currently trades on is extremely limiting. 98% of the people I speak to, retail, institutional, cannot buy or sell or trade on that exchange. So I wouldn't describe it as a true market by any measure. And as far as the getting listed on the Toronto is, besides having a full U.S. symbol, which we'll pursue in a timely manner after we get our Canadian symbol, and that's the process. You can't get a U.S. symbol until you've traded for 30 days on an international market. but we'll pursue that quickly. But the Toronto symbol should give you a lot more access on the U.S. side in your brokerage accounts. I think all brokerage firms can see and trade and get value for the Toronto listed shares. And so I look forward to just being a more liquid trading company on the Canadian side. And in the very short future, we'd be getting our U.S. symbol, which would be an OTC symbol to start. And then we would pursue an IZAMX symbol on the backside of obviously drilling discovery and those costs being warranted as we move forward. So we'll get started. We have a lot of U.S. investors. And on that note, I just want to thank all investors and supporters who helped us get here. This has been a journey and it's an exciting one and the potential is massive. But as far as everything else goes with the project and the timing, we are finally there. We're finally about to trade and there's results pending. And there's going to be a lot more results pending as we go into the fall as the market we anticipate to pick up on the resource side of the market.
All right. To learn more about the company, go to CoppernicoMetals.com. I'll link to that also in the show notes. It'll be trading soon. Ivan, thanks for coming on the show, and we'll follow back up with you and bring you back on the show as the results come in.
Thank you so much. Pleasure to be here.